And thanks to all of you for coming here and enjoying this evening with us tonight. This is a very special time for us each year, time to get together and break bread and enjoy each other's company. And I want to give some special thanks out to people who helped tonight. And especially I want to thank Carol Moran and Ann Scarpato for once again handling the name tags and the reception and the seating assignments. And that's not as easy as it might seem, but they've done a great job again. And I want to thank the Bioethics Defense Fund, of course, for coming here today. I see that many of you were here and enjoyed the seminar presentation that preceded the dinner, and we had about 65 people pre-register for that. Not all of them are here, but they're all raving about it, and it was just a terrific event, so thank you again for doing that. I'd like to acknowledge our Board of Directors and Board of Advisor members who are here tonight, so I'm going to read the names and ask you to please stand, but I want you to hold your applause until I'm finished, okay? Dwight Duncan, and I'm going in alphabetical order, I think. Dwight Duncan, Bridget Fay, Tom Harvey, Colby Mazzarella, Phil Moran, who is a past president of the Pro-Life Legal Defense Fund, Kathlena Scarpato, Roy Scarpato, who is also a past president of the PLLDF, and I want to announce our two most recent and youngest members of the Board of Directors, Hanford Chu, Hanford, there you are, okay, and Mark Bradley. It's really a delight to work with all of you, and it's so nice to accomplish this pro-life effort together with you. And I also want to welcome the law students who are with us tonight. We have law students from Harvard, and I'm going to ask you to stand. I'm not introducing you individually, but we have law students from Harvard Law School and from Suffolk University Law School and from University of Massachusetts Law School. So I'd like you to stand and let's give them a round of applause. These are our future pro-life lawyers. Okay. And as soon as you graduate, we got a lot of work for you to do. So. I want to give special tribute to two of the law students. Oh, Brittany Nichols, Britt, I'm sorry. I want to give special attention to Lauren Sylvia and Britt Nichols, who come by every week and do volunteer work with us. And I want you both to stand, please. Great. Brittany addressed a group of high school students a couple of weeks ago and blew them away. She was really terrific. Before speaking last week to the Prayer for Life group, I was thinking about what it was that makes an enterprise successful, and I thought of the New England Patriots, and no one can dispute their success. And I thought, well, what if someone were to ask Bill Belichick, how do you account for the success? And I thought, well, Bill Belichick would not say, well, we have excellent running backs, or we have great special teams, or we got a great offensive line, or we got one of the best quarterbacks in the business. He wouldn't say that. He would say we have all of those things. And we also have a well-oiled front office and a well-financed operation, and that's what it takes to succeed. And that's true. And I thought, well, let me think about that with respect to the pro-life movement. And I thought, well, if we try to figure out why we have been successful to date, and we are having increased success, we wouldn't say, well, it's just because of the street counselors, or because of the pregnancy care center staff, or because of the legislators, or because of the educators, or because of the lawyers, or because of the medical, or because of the doctors, or because of the prayer warriors. We would say it's because of all of them, all of us together, working in a collaborative, collective way, cooperative and passionate way to defend life. And I just want to say that as the lawyer component, we at the Pro-Life Legal Defense Fund are delighted to play our role where lawyers are supposed to act and where we do act. That's in the courts and before the administrative agencies and at the law schools and at educational forums and in the media. So it's nice to be part of this team. Since our dinner last year, we have some things to report that we're happy about and a few things that we're disappointed about. Let me go quickly through the things that we're happy about. We've recently put together a medical legal think tank, and we've done that because we feel that there are so many legal issues, there are so many pro-life issues that require the input from the medical community and the legal community. And I'm happy to say that that's been already started, and we already have 5 members of that think tank, and we're reaching out to others. The first item on the agenda for us is to help find a way where we can have more ultrasound imaging here in Massachusetts. We have several pregnancy care centers which have either raised funds for ultrasound equipment and/or purchased ultrasound equipment, but they can't implement it because of regulatory problems. It could be zoning, it could be legal medical licensing issues, it could be satellite secondary medical offices, and that's one of the first things we're going to attack. And the reason we're going to do that is because we know one thing that is very, very clear: ultrasound save lives, and we should have more free ultrasound in Massachusetts, and we're dedicated to doing that. We're also happy that Planned Parenthood is no longer allowed to house Boston Police Department blue barriers in the Planned Parenthood facilities and take them out on the mornings when the helpers of God, precious infants, go on the sidewalk there to pray for life. And what's happened in the past is the Planned Parenthood gets to store them, and they get to bring them out, and that lends credence to Planned Parenthood, and it marginalized the helpers. So we did something about that, and that is history. We're also very happy that we've been able to help the 40 Days for Life in a couple of things. Many of you know that last year, 40 Days for Life was prohibited from future events at Norwood, the Norwood Day, and it was supposedly because of rules violations and/or because some of their message made some people uncomfortable. Well, we were able to have dialogue with the town officials and the town council and explain what the United States Constitution said and explore what these supposed rules violations were, and we were able to determine that there were no provable rules violations, and the Constitution allows them to do it. So they did it again in 2016. 40 Days for Life took part in it, and that's to the credit of Rita Russo and John Russo. And they have a written guarantee that they're welcome at all future events. Also, they faced a problem when the city of Boston tried to impose burdensome permitting requirements on them when they tried to have their kickoff this year, and we were able to intervene and teach them a little bit about permitting, and they were able to go forward with no permits, so we're happy about that. We're also happy that at Harvard Law School and Harvard College and at Holy Cross College and at UMass School of Law, there are students who have witnessed the Hush documentary. Many of you know what it is, but I'm just going to say to you that it is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful tools that we have ever had to promote reasonable, intellectual discussion about abortion and its health consequences. It is attractive to people on both sides because it seeks truth, and we want to show that more and more and more. We're going to show it down at UMass School of Law in the fall. We're going to show it at Suffolk University School of Law School in the fall. So we're very happy about that. We were able to introduce literally thousands of people, along with other pro-life organizations, to the Gosnell movie, which many of you know is the movie about the infamous abortionist down in Philadelphia, described by many as America's worst serial killer. He's serving 3 life sentences now. There's a wonderful book out of it, and we were able to cooperate to have a pre-distribution showing over at Boston College earlier, and that should be coming out later in the year, so keep your eyes out for it because it's a terrific movie and it's a terrific book. And we've done our usual appearances on broadcast media and on radio media, and given many lectures that are too numerous to mention. And I'm happy to say that this year we're going to participate again, as we did last year, in the State House Celebration of Life Day, which has been organized by Representative Jim Lyons, who's here. I don't see Jim, but Jim, I'd like you to stand up, and I'd like to give an applause to this guy. I've got a suspicion that Jim has the potential of being the pro-life William Wilberforce in Massachusetts, and I'll do everything I can to help you. But there are disappointments, and I'm going to hit a couple of them, okay? Despite our good faith efforts and our very good efforts to change the abortion consent forms here in Massachusetts, they are still as bad as they were when we started trying to change them 6 years ago. The statute commands the Department of Public Health to prepare informed consent forms, and this is a quote, written in a manner designed to permit a person unfamiliar with medical terminology to understand its purpose and content. Now, notwithstanding the fact that the statute in Massachusetts defines abortion as the intentional destruction of the life of an unborn child, these informed consent forms describe the unborn child, the statutory unborn child, as the contents of the womb. And they say absolutely nothing about any risk of any mental health consequences of it, and that's got to change. And we haven't changed it yet, but we're still working on it. And in our superior courts, many of you are familiar with Mary Moe petitions. That's when a minor goes to court to get a consent for an abortion from a judge without the parent's knowledge or consent. And we have written, under the guidance of Fran Fox and other people who worked on a committee with them, we have made terrific recommendations for better guidelines in the Mary Moe procedures. I want you to know that statistics show that this consent is granted in 99.9% of the cases, 99.9%, and that the Superior Court judges are still following the guidelines, which suggest that the judge not inquire into the minor's view or the views of her parents as to the morality of abortion, or whether the minor believes she is destroying life. And PLLDF says, well, this is the bedrock of decisions concerning maturity, and this should not be off limits. Well, we haven't succeeded, but we haven't given up either, and we're not going to give up. So what is it going to take to change all of this? Well, I think what it's going to take is a change in public sentiment. So I love to quote Abraham Lincoln, so I'm going to do it. This is what Abraham Lincoln had to say about public sentiment. He said, in this age and in this country, public sentiment is everything. With it, nothing can fail. Against it, nothing can succeed. He who molds public sentiment does more than he who enacts statutes and or pronounces judicial decisions. He makes them possible. Our job, our duty, our opportunity is to change public sentiment. We can do it all the time. But how do we do it? We have to talk about these issues. And let's face it, it's tough to bring up these issues. Many people don't want to talk about them. So I've come up with a little idea about how we can initiate pro-life conversations in a polite and respectful way. I'm just going to read this, and you can adapt it however you'd like, if you'd like it. So this is what I would say. This might be a little bit formal, but you can make it a little bit more colloquial. But this is the guts of it. I believe, let's say you're talking to your friend, your relative, your neighbor. I believe that justice requires truth, and that I have a responsibility to help create a just community. I'd like to talk with you. If it makes you uncomfortable, and if you want me to stop, just tell me and I'll stop immediately. I believe our laws should protect human life from conception through natural death. And I would like to discuss this with you for 10 minutes or longer, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with my views. Can we talk? Now, if we did this 5 times weekly, we would have done our part to try to initiate 260 conversations about pro-life, and that's how you change public sentiment. We got to step out there. You can't sell something unless you talk, so I'm encouraging all of us to talk. I want to close with a couple of quotes, one from Teddy Roosevelt and one from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, which I think can be helpful for us. And Teddy Roosevelt said, in any moment of decision, the best thing to do is the right thing. The worst thing to do is nothing. Do what you can, where you are, with what you have. And that's what we do, but we got to do more of it. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who many of you know was a Lutheran pastor, theologian, and anti-Nazi dissident who was hanged 2 weeks before the concentration camp where he was at was freed by the troops. He said that silence in the face of evil is evil itself. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. So let us resolve here tonight that we will not be silent, we will not be guilty, we will speak, and we will act. And by doing so, with God's help, and only with God's help, we will restore a culture of life to this Commonwealth and this nation and this world. So thank you again, and God bless you, and God bless this great movement.